Plutarch, where he comforts his wife. But anyway, Julius is the one who wrote Revelation, and you're going to now know who Satan is. And this is his son. We'll explain it a little later. Well, why don't we do it now? Why Revelation was even written, and who 666 is. Go for it.
Continue the suspense.
Right, go for it.
Go for it. Okay. He wrote Revelation, and he also, I figured out, but this is not in the booklet, this is since the time of the booklet, he also wrote the Gospel of Judas. Because he didn't like the family. He was mad. His family, his son had conquered Bar Kokhba, destroyed the Jews in the third and final Roman-provoked revolt.
He was a general.
His son was a general. Also was the name with the name of Julius Severus, and he came back to Rome, and they thought he would treat him to being part of the ruling class. The emperor, vice emperor, no, they didn't. Justus had things under his thumb. He didn't trust any of his brothers, and not only that, but he knew Justus was scheming for total power.
Well, he was the oldest son.
And he was the oldest son, and as you've pointed out to me, amongst the Romans, presumably the oldest son would get the power.
Sure.
So Fabius Justus put him on trial for writing Revelation because he had mocked the family so much in Revelation. Mm-hmm. That's why there's so many strange things in Revelation. He's mocking his own family. They didn't contain Revelation in the New Testament canon for perhaps 50 years after that, because they weren't sure whether to put it in, whether it was safe. They finally did. But Fabius Justus survived. He was always loyal to his family. His other two brothers died because of what he did. And, and he left.
666, or else I'm going to say it.
666, go ahead.
Okay. After his younger brother, Fabius Justus, screws him out of having his son become emperor after Hadrian, he winds up making Pliny the Younger, who's now deceased already, who was deceased by then, he makes him the 27-horned beast coming out of the water.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Revelation.
He's the 144,000 that survives. 100 is KP, Calpurnius Piso. K is 20, P is 80, 100. 44 is Fabius Justus in Greek small numbering. So, yes, it's true. He did survive after this. The father is Satan. And this is how. The first letter of Christos is 600 in Greek large numbering. But what's 66? Flavius Josephus. Flavius is 30. Josephus is 36 in Greek small numbering. Together, 66. In the Greek manuscripts, it's 616. 616, same thing. 600 is Christos. And 16th letter of the Greek alphabet is P, pi for Piso. So it's daddy in his creation. So don't worry about some character showing up as being Satan. Julius already identified who Satan really is. The great deceiver, Piso himself. His own son calling his father Satan. Of course, he was, because he created the name and the concept Satan.
As the British author Thackeray said, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive." And he was absolutely correct. It was a tangled weave, but they practiced to deceive, and they deceived the world, and it has lasted for 2,000 years.
Next question. How did you connect Flavius Josephus, the public name, with his real name?
That is a complicated process. I devoted a chapter of that, proving that
in the booklet,
Flavius Josephus was Arius Calpurnius Piso. I did not cover 100% of the things we've related to.
All over the years.
My friend Doug figured we should give as large a smattering of information as possible,
yeah,
so people would understand as best you can. It's a
difficult the proof is in the book.
But you'll figure out about 90% of what you said. We didn't get into Flavius to Velleius Paterculus' connection.
This is real for the real scholars. This part is real scholar stuff.
If you want to go beyond that, you write to us, and we will try to give you information on the connection of Velleius Paterculus to it.
But we answered the idea of the authorship of Mark through four hands, basically.
Right. And the story is, as some of my friends have called it, it's not only fiction. It's not only fraud. It is not only a hoax and a swindle, which has been going on for 2,000 years. It is also 2,000 years of mental abuse. Jews have been physically abused, murdered, treated as Satan, stereotyped as minions of Satan, of the devil, led to Hitler, a psychopath and a sociopath, all because of church teachings for 2,000 years that the Jews were evil. It's all fiction.
And they knew it.
But he did it, and they did it out of ego. Without his ego,
agreed to.
The greatest ego, the greatest writer the world has ever seen was Arius Calpurnius Piso. But without his ego, without all these code systems, without all this trail of breadcrumbs, nobody would ever have known the secret. But of course, the church would not have known, and they have held this secret tightly to their breast, refusing to give it up, not caring what people say, as long as you don't mention the name Piso and you don't connect Josephus with it. The church will like you, they'll love you, they'll say you're a true Christian. Don't mention the word Piso. That's verboten. That is the bad name you must not mention.
Sorry. The creator of the church, or organizing of the church, evidently was Proculus, right?
Proculus was the original one. Then Antoninus.
Maybe that's why they call St. Peter's Cathedral.
On this rock you will found your church. Piso intended his son Proculus as his successor, but Proculus died 2 years after Piso. Fabius Justus remained loyal. He manipulated, he maneuvered, he murdered, he slaughtered, he killed, used intrigue, used marriages, and he succeeded. And he died in bed.
Right.
He died in bed.
Well, I'm sure without any guilt. So that's the sad part of that. Okay, we covered the virgin birth. Okay, what do you think is the real purpose of the Pisos writing the New Testament?
Population control, of course. They wanted to be first to control the slaves and poor people, and they have to pay less. They have to collect fewer taxes from the aristocracy. You didn't have to have a soldier at every door. You could scare the heck out of them.
They use religion.
A lot of fear and a little bit of hope, just like the Stoics controlled the masses before the rise of Christianity. With a combination of fear and hope, you could control these poor illiterate people whom you did not allow citizenship to, you did not allow literacy to, you did not give Bibles or books into their possession. You kept them stupid and illiterate, and as long as you could do that, and it lasted to the 15th century, you could control the masses. Even the Renaissance, which was deliberately set up by the church to mollify the masses, they didn't allow them to read in that time in the 1400s. It wasn't until the invention of the Gutenberg Bible and the printing press, the 1500s, and the rise of Martin Luther and reading your Bible, and then the Brits singing the Spanish Armada in 1588, that Western man finally rose from the control and manipulation, hatred and murder imposed by Christianity, all in the name of love and salvation and kindness.
Well, all the time the religious and political leadership all knew the Pisos had written it.
Because they were induced to join up. Look at the money. Look at the control here.
Well, the leadership wanted control of the masses that way.
Control the masses.
Yeah, control the masses. We covered some of the code systems. Greek large numbering, small numbering, sequence system. That's explained in the booklet. They have cumulative small numbering. There's a whole bunch of code systems, and I don't want to beat it to death for people, and it's somewhat some of it's a little bit complicated. We've mentioned some of it. Did you want to add anything to some of the code systems?
I try to make things simple.
You have to, yeah.
I'm not a classical scholar. I'm an attorney by profession, but I've always believed to try to make things simple for the average person. I wrote it for the average person to understand. We've sold, Doug sold some, I sold a lot, my wife has sold some, friends have sold some. In total, more than 40,000. Never had a person write to me after buying the booklet, and we used to sell them very cheap because we wanted to get maximum exposure to inform the world. It's a responsibility owed to the world, not just to the Jews.
Right.
The world has been enslaved by this. People have given money thinking they're going to see Jesus in heaven. There's nobody there in heaven with the name Jesus, because he never existed. He can't be there in heaven if he never was on earth, if there's no story.
I'd like to add something on that.
It's a fictional invention.
Piso got the name Jesus from the Greek translation of Joshua. Joshua's father was Nun, and that's why a Catholic sister is called Nun, N-U-N, spelled the same way. So it's kind of funny. But many parts of the story are very circular. When he uses a name or something like that, it's always for a reason. I was going to say who wrote which books, but I think we'll just cover the main ones rather than all the smaller ones. Like, we know roughly when Mark was written. When was Mark finished by Arius Calpurnius Piso?
He took over in 70 and wrote his own book, Matthew. It was a name which he gave to his father Gaius, and then he took it back for the purpose of writing Matthew, to honor his father.
Yeah.
75 to 80, he wrote a revised gospel according to Mark.
Yeah, his father's.
Right.
Yeah.
Because his father had finished it, even though Vespasian's brother, his grandfather, Piso's grandfather, paternal grandfather, had written most of it. Luke was written 85 to 90. Luke was after the